The court meets today to deliver its open court its decision on the request for the modification of the order of March 28, 2024, regarding provisional measures submitted by South Africa on May 10, 2024, in the case concerning application of the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide in the Gaza Strip, South Africa versus Israel. For reasons made known to me, Judges Abraham, Shwe, and Iwasawa, who duly participated in a position to take their seat on the bench today. Judge ad hoc Barak, who also duly participated in the deliberations and the final vote, is unable to join us today for family reasons. I recall that on December 29, 2023, South Africa filed in the registry of the court an application instituting proceedings against Israel concerning alleged violations in the Gaza Strip of obligations under the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, to which I shall refer as the Genocide Convention. The application of South Africa contained a request for the indication of provisional measures. After hearing the parties, the court indicated certain provisional measures by an order issued on January 26, 2024. By a letter dated February 12, 2024, South Africa, referring to, I quote, the developing circumstances in Rafah, end of quote, called upon the court urgently to exercise its power under Article 75, paragraph 1 of the Rules of Court. The registrar informed the parties of court's decision in response to that communication by letter on 16 February 2024. On March 6, 2024, South Africa requested the court, I quote, to indicate further provisional measures and or to modify its provisional measures indicated on January 26, 2024. By an order of March 28, 2024, the court reaffirmed the provisional measures indicated in its order of January 26, 2024, and indicated certain additional provisional measures.
From hating his 9-to-5, struggling at his 9-to-5, to starting an Instagram account about something he was passionate about and being able to gain a little bit of followers and make over $10,000 a month from it recurring without having to do more work. If that's
On May 10, 2024, South Africa submitted to the court what it described as an urgent request for the modification and indication of provisional measures, pursuant to Article 41 of the statute and Articles 75 and 76 of the Rules of Court. In accordance with usual practice, I shall not read the introductory paragraphs of the order, which set out the procedural history of the case. I shall also omit or summarize some other paragraphs. I shall therefore begin by reading the order at paragraph 20. The court begins by noting that, in its view, South Africa's present request is a request for the modification of the order of March 28, 2024. For this reason, the court must determine whether the conditions set forth in Article 76, paragraph 1 of the Rules of Court have been fulfilled. That paragraph reads as follows, I quote, at the request of a party or proprio motu, the court may, at any time before the final judgment in the case, revoke or modify any decision concerning provisional measures if, in its opinion, some change in the situation justifies such revocation or modification, end of quote. The court must first ascertain whether, taking into account the information that the parties have provided with respect to the current situation, there is reason to conclude that the situation that warranted the decision set out in its order of March 28, 2024, has changed since that time. If the court finds that there was a change in the situation since the delivery of its earlier order, it will then have to consider whether such a change justifies a modification of its earlier decision concerning provisional measures. Any such modification would be appropriate only if the general conditions laid down in Article 41 of the Statute of the Court were also met in this instance. The Court thus begins by determining whether there has been a change in the situation that warranted the decision set out in its order of March 28, 2024. The Court recalls that in its order of January 26, 2024, it noted that the military operation conducted by Israel following the attack of October 7, 2023, had resulted in, I quote, a large number of deaths and injuries, as well as the massive destruction of homes, the forcible displacement of the vast majority of the population, and extensive damage to civilian infrastructure. End of quote. In its decision communicated to the parties by letters of 16 February 2024, the Court noted, quoting the United Nations Secretary General, that the developments in the Gaza Strip and Rafah in particular, I quote, would exponentially increase what was already a humanitarian nightmare with untold regional consequences. End of quote. The Court further records that in its order of March 28, 2024, it observed with regret that the catastrophic living conditions of the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip had deteriorated further since January 2024, especially in view of the prolonged and widespread deprivation of food and other basic necessities to which the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip had been subjected. In the present order, the Court notes that the catastrophic humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip, which, as stated in its order of January 26, 2024, was at serious risk of deteriorating, has deteriorated, and has done so even further since the Court adopted its order of March 28, 2024. In this regard, the Court observes that the concern that it expressed in its decision communicated to the parties on February 16, 2024, with respect to the developments in Rafah have materialized, and that the humanitarian situation is now to be characterized as disastrous. After weeks of intensification of military bombardments of Rafah, where more than 1 million Palestinians had fled as a result of Israeli evacuation orders, covering more than 3/4 of Gaza's entire territory, on May 6, 2024, nearly 100,000 Palestinians were ordered by Israel to evacuate the eastern portion of Rafah and relocate to Al-Mawasi and Khan Yunis areas ahead of a planned military offensive. The military ground offensive in Rafah, which Israel started on May 7, 2024, is still ongoing and has led to new evacuation orders. As a result, according to United Nations reports, nearly 800,000 people have been displaced from Rafah as at May 18, 2024.